I've heard that Ethereum is going to $10,000. Have you also heard it? Let's check here on YouTube. Ethereum to $10,000. Ah, good, it's not clickbait. Ethereum to $10,000. What you must know. Ethereum about to explode to $10,000. Huge news. The truth about $10,000 Ethereum. We even get the truth, finally. And I'm the guy who holds the CTO.ETH handle, so that's really great news for me. Yes! Oh, and then we have this report on the internet which also talks about $10,000 Ethereum. So both these clever analysts with their Excel sheets and formulas and stuff, and these YouTube creators have predicted $10,000. So it's bound to happen, right? It's the wrong approach, guys. Wrong, wrong, wrong. If you think you can go on the internet and find price predictions, then just mortgage the house and wait for the prophecy to come true. You're not going to be successful in the long run, guys. But there's one thing you got to understand. Trying to predict tech markets is a beginner approach. Let's go back to the CTO LARSSON HQ and I'll show you something else you can do instead. First, I'm not criticizing those creators. You have to win the click first, then say your message. It's just how the YouTube platform works. Much of that content is good, and I've also made a video called Ethereum to $2,000 with a stupid face and everything, which for some reason makes people want to click the video. I made that when Ethereum was at $400 something. Then it reached $2,000. Did I predict that? Did I carefully look into my secret math with my LARSSON line indicator and the code on GitHub and meditated and came up with the number 2000? No, I didn't. If you go back and watch that video, I'll link it later, you will learn what I did. I just observed what actually happened. Because as it turns out, it's a lot easier to analyze the present than to predict the future. So, unlike all the gurus who now popped up after Ethereum has already pumped to 2000, maybe I'm onto something if I manage to enter there at $175, right? And I'm telling you this, guys, asking if Ethereum will go to $10,000 or not is already the wrong question. It's too simplistic. They're just guessing. Why is that the wrong question? Because of this. If we look at the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart, we find something potentially shocking. In 5 years, from March 2016 until now, in April 2021, the price hasn't moved at all. It's exactly the same in BTC terms. 5 years. While in USD terms, both of them have moved in gigantic amounts, ETH from $15 to $2,000. So as you see, it's much easier to see what is going on if we are looking at the comparably small movements relative to Bitcoin, which is leading the way in this market. Or put differently, instead of trying to guess a dollar figure for Ethereum, break that molecule down into its two atoms. Number one, what is Bitcoin doing? And number two, what is Ethereum doing relative to Bitcoin? Then there is a third question. But first, what is Ethereum really? Well, anyone can deploy a smart contract, which then runs on this crazy world computer that can't be shut down, even if someone wants. It's a contract which will be executed no matter what. Even if one party changes their mind, even if someone doesn't like it, even if the government would ban it, it can no longer be shut down. In a way, it's pretty close to science fiction already. But I think in a good way. It's a machine that ensures that promises will be kept. And it's easily accessible for anyone. Let me show you. You go here, create a new file, and you can type code. Okay, compile, deploy, and we test calling this function. Hello world, and it worked. Then you just switch to the live mainnet, and if I press deploy here, my program would go online, accessible to the whole world forever. The use cases are real. They are huge. They will fundamentally change society. Decentralized finance. One guy could program an exchange with an automated market maker, which suddenly challenges the world's centralized exchanges. In 2017, ownership was being issued, which was previously a huge project requiring an investment bank to manage. Suddenly, one teenager could do it himself from his mom's basement. That was the ICO boom and bust. While it wasn't compliant to 100-year-old regulation, there was a lot of scams. It worked technically. It's how most of the biggest crypto projects like Binance, like Cardano, like even Ethereum itself was founded. We had the NFTs, Season 1 with CryptoKitties and Season 2 now with guys like Gary Vaynerchuk and $69 million NFTs. We have peer-to-peer lending. You can borrow money without any centralized bank. There are hundreds, there are thousands of real use cases. The Ethereum team and Vitalik planned for these use cases from the start. Look here in the white paper version from 2014. Applications, financial applications, powerful ways of managing and entering into smart contracts using their money. Subcurrencies, financial derivatives, hedging contracts, saving contracts, wills, and even employment contracts. Semi-financial applications, and applications such as online voting and decentralized governance that are not financial at all. Very impressive. One of the greatest minds of our generation created one of the biggest innovations in history. Of course not alone, it was a teamwork, but he played a key role and still do. Then, in fairness, Ethereum, which created it all, should get to reap the rewards, right? Having the idea and being first helps to build the ecosystem, the community, yes. But the world doesn't work like that. Ericsson, where I worked before, pretty much created the mobile network systems. That didn't prevent our Chinese competitors from copying it, down to the cable labels in Swedish. But the way that Ericsson then stayed relevant, and has stayed relevant for 140 years straight, is to qualify every day. You have to be the best now, not only yesterday. To win over competition, we need to offer a better product today. You can't live on old achievements. You have to be relevant in the present. No one cares who invented it. So that's the third question to ask. Is Ethereum the best solution, all things considered? Ecosystem, installed base of users and services, performance and cost. Today and forward, not backwards. No one cares who invented it. If it is, Ethereum will continue to fulfill those use cases, because those use cases are real, no doubt. If it is not, another project will fulfill those use cases in the end. Maybe it's BSC, maybe another project. Let's try to answer the three questions based on what we know today. Number 1. What is Bitcoin doing? This video won't get many views because most people want to believe in price predictions and predicting the futures, basically a fortune teller, someone else telling them what to do. So if you're watching here, you are already ahead of the majority. If you feel that this channel deserves more subs, please take 1 second to press the like and subscribe and bell button right now. It matters a lot more than you might think. Press it. Thank you. Bitcoin remains in an uptrend. Trends are in every instance more likely to continue than to reverse. If it plays out like the previous 3 parabolas, there could be a lot more rocket fuel left. That's the first indicator that we will track going forward. Number 2. What is Ethereum doing relative to Bitcoin? What I will do is that as long as this 0.03 level holds, I will hold my Ethereum. Technically, I hold Ethereum price tracking certificates in ISK through my bank, but that's a technicality. If this just goes back to all-time high, that's 0.15. For clarity, this is not advice to you, I'm not a financial advisor, read the disclaimer below. My situation is that I can afford this going to 0 tomorrow because Vitalik accidentally misspelled a variable in the Ethereum code, everything exploded and never recovered. Now to the third question. Is Ethereum the best today to fulfill those use cases? I look at this from 5 dimensions: ecosystem size, cost, performance, USP, that means unique selling point, And decentralization, because if it's not decentralized, you could as well run this on a database on Amazon Web Services at a fraction of the cost. Most of the year 2020, Ethereum had almost monopoly in terms of ecosystem size. There were Tron and BSV and a few others that tried to challenge, but in reality didn't get much traction. Ethereum was regarded fairly low cost and decent performance, as people mostly compared it with Bitcoin. And Ethereum had a USP, a unique selling point, Uniswap, groundbreaking innovation. Separate video. Then came 2021. How quickly a large share of transactions moved over to BSC, Binance Smart Chain. BSC has today almost double the number of transactions of ETH. Not in terms of money volume, but in number of transactions. Also, Ethereum got a lot more expensive, both in terms of number of Ethereum needed to transact and the price of each Ethereum, while BSC became a faster and cheaper real alternative at the 100th of the cost. If you haven't seen my BNB BSC video, I will link it here. The USP kind of disappeared because PancakeSwap and others could basically just fork Uniswap. BSC is definitely not decentralized today, but turns out that people cared more about the permissionless aspect than how decentralized it was, and still used it. So, now what will happen in the second half of 2021? Well, the ecosystem is still there for Ethereum. Optimus, the Layer 2 solution, is scheduled for release in July. It got delayed, but I still think it will come. These Layer 2 solutions will solve some of the cost and performance problems, and the USP could come back because version 3 of Uniswap changed the license. It is now a business license, meaning PancakeSwap and company cannot just go to GitHub and type fork. It will now be necessary to copy the idea instead of copying the code. How hard will that be? I don't know yet, but that will be key to monitor. Because the version 3 innovation of Uniswap is huge. The better capital efficiency for liquidity providers will translate into less slippage for traders. That means that each time we place a big trade potentially, the price won't move so much in the wrong direction. So for bigger trading volumes, this will matter a lot. This can shift the power balance between centralized and decentralized exchanges forever. Ethereum is still decentralized and BSC is not really as of today. Now let's make a few price scenarios. The first scenario, let's assume that Bitcoin goes to 200k and Ethereum takes back the leadership and goes to 0.15 on this chart. The $10,000 from the beginning of this video was way too conservative. In this scenario, Ethereum becomes worth $30,000 each. The 10k scenario from these YouTubers could well play out, even if Ethereum doesn't move much. Say that Bitcoin goes to 200,000 and Ethereum just moves a little bit to say 0.05. That's $10,000. Another scenario, let's say that Bitcoin still goes to 200,000, but Ethereum loses the leadership, falls through. So it goes from 0.03 to 0.01. Then price will stay around current levels, maybe surprisingly, at around 2,000. Next scenario. Say that Bitcoin hovers here at $58,000 and there's no real conclusion on the Ethereum versus the Ethereum killer's leadership. Say that BSC and Ethereum get similar traction and market kind of hesitates. Then Ethereum could remain in this wait and see mode at 0.03. Then current valuation of $1,800 stays. Now, let's do another scenario. Let's say that Bitcoin backs up to 30,000, which it could do, and still be in a bull market, still hold the parabolic advance. And let's say that Ethereum is doing okay-ish, but maybe people get more finicky then about cost and optimism. Layer 2 isn't out yet, so maybe Ethereum dips to 0.02. Again, this is a very realistic scenario. Then we could see $600 ETH, even though ETH is still doing well. Now let's do one bad scenario also. Let's say that Bitcoin backs up to 30k and Ethereum loses its leadership and dips to 0.01. That's $300 Ethereum. So as you see, we got a range here from $300 to $30,000 Ethereum. That's why you need to look at these underlying indicators to have any chance to play this right. And let me get this clear. I love Ethereum. I wish for it to succeed. Like, subscribe, bell, comment your thoughts and your opinions, and watch the next video. Thank you, tack! CTO LARSSON out. Hej då!